I'd love to welcome everybody back to the Independent Investor Channel live on a Friday here for the fastest 60 minutes on YouTube. My name is Ryan. Welcome all the subscribers to the message back. We are back again with you after another crazy week in the stock market. When we look at it from an isolated perspective, it's been nothing short of remarkable to be taking part in a market that just a couple of years ago we were even questioning why we were being participants in it. And I think on the extremes, I really try to share with you guys that stock market investing is unlike anything else that you'll do in life. The application, the way that you approach it, yes, there is some fundamentals that need to be applied. Okay. A lot of the fundamentals that people think are necessary for success in the stock market are at best social norms that people think you have to have, and I look to challenge every one of them. For those you guys that are making your way to the channel, I aim to empower, I aim to educate, I aim to share what it is that I do. And if you truly can relate to what I do, it's not perfect. I make mistakes. Um, I have shortcomings. I'm not one of those YouTubers that come on and tell you that I have all the answers. I'm actually one that comes and admits that I'm a human being. And I'd like to relate with an audience that I think probably is made up, for the most part, of, in fact, human beings that have emotion, that have shortcomings, that have doubts, that have self doubt, that have been told that they should doubt themselves and they believe it, who have had shortcomings that make it even more difficult to believe in yourself. Okay. Life doing its job. So when somebody like myself comes along and speaks like I do, does the project in the capacity that I do, I'm completely independent from YouTube. YouTube, in fact, is the conduit that I use to get through to investors out there, to anybody looking to get involved in the stock market and make sense of the daily madness. It becomes much more apparent as to why the investing fundamentals that I talk about work over the long term, because I think a lot of people would look at it and say, okay, I went from $1,500 to over $500,000, $600,000 in the title, and they would say, so what? I think people are looking for a title that would read more like "Become a Millionaire Overnight." Much more attractive, hell of a lot more sexy. And if you've got a personality to come and start yelling and screaming at people and putting on a show and actually getting people to believe and move away from what people should be focusing in on, and that is reality, as opposed to some sort of a dream or some kind of perception of what is possible in life, I think we'd all be a lot better off. So I do aim to empower, and if you're looking for those fundamentals on how to apply and what to do, stick around. You may learn something, you may not. You may give it a chance, and you may not relate with me. That's no problem. I have no qualms about appealing to the masses out there. As a matter of fact, I do enough to not appeal to the masses for a good reason. I'm heading towards self-made millionaire status, whether or not you like it or not. This is an outlet for 60 short minutes. I am pretty devout every Friday to come on and devoting this time. I'm glad to do it. It's enjoyable for me to talk about. It keeps me sharp. It keeps me on the edge. And quite frankly, this is the one conduit through the channel where you actually get my holistic fundamental approach to investing, as opposed to the speculative angle that I push through the channel fairly often. And people are confused. They come on and they talk about the speculative investments that I talk about and I'm compensated for. and they don't quite understand that there's a bigger picture to why I do what I do, and I convey those in the channel, it is going to be incumbent upon you to listen and pay attention and maybe, I don't know, potentially evolve a little bit, maybe break yourself down a little bit in what you think you know. I'll help you do that. Trust me. I can motivate people in understanding that if you truly want to build wealth over the course of your life, you can do that. If you're coming to get the magic wand from me and shake it on yourself or stick it up your nose or in your ear and end up becoming a millionaire overnight, you're in the wrong place. I'm sorry. I'm quite certain that there's a lot of people who have not only done that, but actually have got themselves convinced that they have the information that they can scale to people out there to be um, actually duplicated and find overnight success or quick riches um, based on what somebody tells them that they can do. I, I'm not going to say in this world with the availability of information that that's not possible. However, from day to day, I find myself all the time relying on the tried and true fundamentals of hard work, eating a healthy diet, exercising, staying true to the family, the very nature of why I work so hard, being true to my career, being devout to my profession. All of those things are the things that I devote time to, and they continually reward me with the validation to suggest that they work. Okay. And I've got a list of what's working right now in the market. I'm going to share those with you guys. If you're new to the investing game and you look at the investing landscape and you're confused, you should be. It's meant to confuse you, it's meant to demoralize you, it's meant to pound you down, and then it's meant to lead you where it is that mainstream media wants to take you in way of selling you propaganda that is just not true. Okay. And the whole niche on my channel is to aim for a fundamental truth of trying to define yourself as an individual investor. Okay. Find your place as an individual. Find those areas where you can do contrary to what the masses tell you is the way that you should go. Find those opportunities to be different. Okay. Find those opportunities to maybe do a little bit of shepherding of yourself to start and a hell of a lot less following of others. Okay. Now, the irony in this, I get it. You got to come in and you got to tune in to the Independent Investor channel. You got to do a little bit of listening. And yes, indeed, maybe someone would suggest a little bit of following. Okay. I get it. The subscribership will cost you nothing. Okay. Hitting the notification bell and understanding where I'm at, okay, is going to cost you nothing. If you watch an episode, keep the Independent Investor channel in your back pocket because we are headed for phenomenal things. Either I'm the most naive person, or we will, in fact, end up somewhere that I can share with you guys with regard to tangible results. Because here's the thing: when I look at my program, there was a time in my life when I didn't have the net worth. Okay, and I'm talking about the dollars and cents, the very shallow aspect of what people consider to be successful. I could write a book on this topic because all too often I think society dubs financial success as the end all be all of what it is that we should be aspiring to, step on whatever toes or heads we need to get to that end, abandon all relationship hope in your life, circumvent every type of barrier that you could come across, cheat, steal, lie to get ahead. Um, and I see a lot of that in 2024. In other words, it's the pursuit of money at all cost. Okay. You have to sell out. You have to be an asshole. All right. You have to treat people like garbage. Okay. You have to step on whoever you're willing to step on to get to that end. I have found that the older I get, the least or the less I think about money, the more wealthy I get. When I was a younger person and I aspired to either going to college or getting a business degree or becoming a physical therapist or pursuing any of the many, many aspirations that I had as a young person. And those aspirations, of course, have been filled with the reality of what I actually do. Sometimes I have to pinch myself in understanding that I have a very established career now, one of which I would have never looked at and said, this was going to be my life. I'm very thankful for it. And I would I wouldn't trade it for anything. It kind of gives me the latitude and the freedom and flexibility to pursue projects like this, kind of sow some of those creative opportunities for myself. And quite frankly, it's good for me because otherwise I'd be bored. So I need to pursue those ends. But for people who make their way to the channel, I really think that this can be an eye opener in understanding that sometimes the path of least resistance might just be the right way in pursuing some of the societal norms about getting a job, understanding the value of hard work, understanding, yes, the value of personal finance as a broad topic. I still cannot for the life of me understand, and if anybody does understand this that is involved in the public education system, why it is our young people are my son, he takes Italian, nothing against the Italians, but I would rather have him learning personal finance as opposed to a language that I think he'll probably never use. Okay. Now he's got me as his dad, so he invests whether or not he likes it or not. He's 12. Okay. But his portfolio is more robust than most adults that I know. So when it comes down to sheer education and pursuing those avenues that I think are fairly easy to pursue, it just dumbfounds me as to why people cannot look to pursue more of these avenues to embolden their personal lives and the lives of the households that they represent. I don't get it. I think that there is a huge disconnect in today's era, especially amongst our youth, that have a very, very hard time separating from the reality of things, and their perception of things. Okay. And I think the perception of things is much more attractive. What is it that I could aspire to? What is it that that person is doing that I absolutely need to do? Right. I'm willing to do these things in reality, but I want to streamline myself to that perception of reality. The problem with perception of reality is that it is just that. It is perception. When I look at somebody and I say, boy, oh boy, that person seems awful happy, or boy, look at that person, they have all of this stuff, or my goodness, look at this person, they've got this enormous portfolio. It must mean that they're a happy person. Okay. And I look at that from the lens of everything that is going on there, irrespective of what is going on in reality. I look at that as the gospel truth, that everything that I'm perceiving is absolutely good and golden, and that's what I need to do. Now, that's with one perspective. If I look at the world as a whole, it's very, very easy to get caught up, especially in the United States of America. Okay. We call this keeping up with the Joneses, and I talk about this all the time, and it is a deadly disease. It's a deadly disease that would find you entering into retirement, reflecting back on your life, and you never took one single second to look in the mirror and try to find your personal best. Rather, you spent your entire life looking at Joe and Bobby Sue down the lane, right? And comparing your life to theirs, and the perception of what you think is going on within that household, and yearning to have those things. Okay. What's going on in the stock market? I yearn to have that. What's going on with Nvidia? I yearn to have that. Okay. Irrespective of the risk and reality, I yearn to have that. Okay. I tune into certain YouTubers and I've got to have that. Okay. You tune into me and you see a title, boy, oh boy, this guy's got $600,000. I want that too. You have no idea of the day-to-day boxing match with the psychology that it takes to maintain, fund, and grow wealth. Okay. Most people go the opposite direction. Look at the statistics of people who win the lottery, professional athletes. Okay. People who are bestowed upon a lot of money and they don't have the mental education to not only keep that money, but to grow that money and preserve that money over the long term. Okay. So for you guys that are starting from scratch, you've got the advantage. Starting for scratch is the very essence of acknowledging a starting place, okay? And acknowledging that you might be in that starting place right now, as we speak, as I'm speaking to you now, you are in that starting place. And it can only get better from here. But you never want to lose the perspective of what you have by looking at that reality and saying, this is my reality right now. I aspire to change that reality to a better reality. Okay. I'm not going to look at my current reality and say, here's a piece of Bobby Sue that I can put into here's a piece of this perspective over here that's fairy tale and put it into my reality. Here's a piece of Ryan on the I2, or here's a piece of this YouTuber over here that I'm going to put into my reality or my perception. Okay. All these perceptions I'm going to put into this reality here. And therefore, all of this little amoeba that I've got built here is now going to be my current reality. It doesn't work that way. Okay. You have to work very, very hard at acknowledging when you're on your own 2 feet, how you're on your own 2 feet, what kind of pressure it takes to stand up, and especially what it takes to get the motivation enough to go from here to here. Okay. For you guys that are looking for taking the ample steps to get progression from here to some degree toward this end, I don't mind if you take small steps. And we're going to talk about some of those things right now that absolutely are working and have continued to work over the course of my life. Okay. And they can work for you. They can work for you. Okay. I have people who come into the channel and they're like, Ryan, you talk about this stock or that stock, or, Aduro hasn't moved. What's going on, Ryan? It's all your fault, Ryan. It's your fault that in 2024, the stock is taking a 6-month pause or even a slight digression, right? It's my fault. Every time you come on and talk about a stock, Ryan, that was one of my comments today, guys. I can't make this up. It's incredible and quite frankly, a little entertaining for me in that people spend most of their time looking in the past as opposed to trying to define their future. Okay. Not by aspiring what others have, but trying to understand where they could be into the future and not necessarily where they've been. Okay. Very, very important to understand. Very important to grasp this idea of understanding who you are, excuse me, understanding your own capability. I will help you show you the fundamentals of, in my assessment, this is my assessment on what is absolutely working right now. Okay, so let's get into it. Passive markets in 2024 and historically have been proven to work. Ryan, you just talked about talking about the future. Okay. If you historically go back and look at passive markets and look at a scale from 0 to 100%, that in a mathematical sense, read some Plato and Aristotle. Okay. But just stay with me from a very, very simplistic perspective. 0 to 100%. The question should be for yourself, wow, Ryan just mentioned a potential reality. Okay. Do I take $10, $100 of my investable capital and invest 1% to, let's say, a passive program? You have taken one step in reality, in hard dollars, $1 to be exact, toward a better reality for yourself. Okay. $100 invested capital. Ryan, I think investing is like gambling, and quite frankly, I don't trust you as far as I can throw you. Okay. So I'm going to keep $99, and by God, I'm going to prove you wrong. Okay. But I am interested in just throwing this dollar away because everybody's told me how terrible wealth building is and participating in the market. I'm investing 1% into the stock market, 1%. All right. To prove to yourself and take that step into that reality. Okay. Go from 0 to 1%. You go from 0 to 1%. All right. Now, the key in that deliberation is understanding to take a step back and ask yourself, if you're a new investor, what percentage of this particular philosophy would you expect yourself gravitating to, acknowledging is for you, or maybe just discrediting altogether and saying this isn't for me? Okay, that is the game. All right. So on a scale of 0 to 100% of your total investable capital, I use $100 as a very, very minimal 101 example. But for a lot of people, invested capital could be $5,612 of starting capital. All right. It could be $517 of invested capital. Okay. Do a little math problem. Very, very simple. Ryan, I want to take 50% of my assets and put those toward a passive program. The remaining 50%, I'm going to put into a savings account, a rainy day fund, whatever it is. I'm young. This is all I have. Ryan, I'm start to getting familiar with myself. I'm working on a career. I think this is what I'm comfortable with. Right on. Now you've moved from 0 to 50% of your total investable capital, and you take that step from reality to a more augmented reality. All right. What's working right now? What's working right now is passive investments, guys. I'm slowly getting rich by engaging in a philosophy that I have done since I was 15 years old. And it has put me in this position now at 46 years old. Could I have been there earlier in my life? I don't know. It doesn't do me any good to look at the what ifs in life. What if I had done this better? What if I didn't invest? I think a lot of you guys that are making their way to the channel, and I think a lot of people in general, need to ask those scary rhetorical questions, because where I'm trying to add a little bit of motivation on this side, a little bit of definition on this side, a little bit of encouragement up here to actually invest. I think until you come up with this idea that you will not, and I do repeat, will not accumulate any type of sizable wealth in your life by saving yourself to that wealth. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. Most of the people who will generate wealth in an excess of what they end up wasting their time with perception and trying to get all these perceptions together to put something together special, end up wasting their time and ending up with nothing in retirement. People who spend their life doing that, and most people spend their time either doing that or overspending or wasting money frivolously, only to end up inevitably nowhere ahead. Okay. I'm not looking to put you into the ultra rich category. I'm not looking to put you into the 8-figure mark. I'm not looking to do that. But strongly into the 7-figure mark can be done if you're willing to devote to a program over the course of the longest time period you can possibly have to the maximum extent that you can justify for yourself. 50%. Wow, Ryan, I don't know about you, man. You seem like kind of a squirrely fella. 1% for me, Ryan. I tell you what, by God, my great great grandfather told me never to get involved in that. It's all just a bunch of malarkey. No kidding. Really? I find it interesting that I look at companies like an Apple computer that has been around for most of my life, a company like Microsoft that's been around for a good portion of my life. The fact that we have had and seen companies to the likes of Amazon and Google and Meta and Nvidia and all of these crazy, crazy awesome companies come to the forefront. And I have a hard time looking at those opportunities, call them opportunities, okay? And they all have the same pedigree. They're all multi-trillion dollar companies now. How is that possible? You're kidding me. You mean it's not malarkey, Ryan? It's not all just gambling. You mean to tell me that I, in some capacity, even with my anemic 1%, could have put my coattails on some of that success that Apple had, or some of that success that Microsoft had, or some of that success that, let me just digress and go something really, really, really low key. JP Morgan Chase, the biggest bank in the world, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Johnson and Johnson, Procter, Kimberly Clark. I can go on and on and on. There are good companies and there are bad companies. Okay. There's a lot of different diversity across the different companies. Okay. But as a holistic whole, as a passive investor, you own a very, very small piece of a lot of different momentum, slow and to the right. That should be attractive to anybody who thinks like me. I don't ask you to think like me. I don't know if I would wish that upon anybody because I'm always thinking and I'm always trying to redefine my reality. Okay. Very little of my time is spent aspiring to what others are doing. That's why when I acknowledge success or a perceived success, I'm quick to just say, right on, man, looks like you're having a good time. That's why with me, with celebrities, I really don't get the idea of putting Leonardo DiCaprio or Matt Damon, some of my favorite actors, man. Brad Pitt's cool, Russell Crowe, cool, right? Good. I'm sure they're cool. I don't know. For all I know, they're assholes. I have no idea. I've never met them. But I certainly, in either case, don't put them on a pedestal. Okay. It just doesn't matter to me, right? I don't look at that and say, man, I wish I could be successful like Leonardo DiCaprio. I wish I could date 20-year-olds. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's unhappy as hell. I have no idea. Okay. But aspiring or having some sort of perception that that life is absolutely incredible, or somebody like Jim Carrey, who is one of my favorites, one of my absolute favorites. I think a gift to acting and comedy, right? Speaks about this sometimes in interviews and actually kind of gives people a perception into the celebrityism to make people understand that it's not all roses. You give part of your life away to people, if not all of it. You're owned. Think about the beauty that you have as an independent person to do what you want when you want, not to have a camera jammed in your face every time you leave your house. You have the ability to have a luxury, which is privacy. Okay. What is the cost of privacy? All right. You're never looking at a Leo and saying, my goodness, man, I want to have my privacy bastardized the way Leo does, right? No, you have all that stuff. If you just take a few moments and realize that, you would realize that you have attributes on your side to help you identify. And well, God forbid we look at ourselves as being on the same playing field as all the celebrities that have a platform out there. Who cares? Who cares? It does not matter. Okay. Your only goal is to identify your very best as your own attributes and your own ability can take you. And as far as the personal finance, I define this slice. Okay. I've said it many, many times. I'm not going to find you friends. I'm not going to find you girlfriends. I'm not going to entertain you. Okay. That you're going to have to do that on your own. Okay. I can't find a solution for you if you have trouble sleeping. All right. But as far as personal finance, how many people out there believe that if I took 1,000 people and took either 1% of their investable capital or 100% of their invested capital, put them into the S&P 500, that in 10 years they wouldn't be better off than the reality that they started with and the reality that we're trying to get them to? So why do so many people struggle with that? It's because somewhere along the line, they miss this reality and they lack the identification on what it takes to get to this reality. Okay. They spend all their time with their head in a cloud. Okay. Reading the National Enquirer, or reading celebrity magazines. Oh my goodness, this person went out in the streets of Hollywood wearing a pair of pink shorts. Oh my goodness, that's just unbelievable. How dare she do that? That's unbelievable. Yeah, I don't know, man. I maybe I'm the one that's screwed up. I don't know. I don't know. I'm happy. I sure as hell don't need to aspire to a life that is not going to be possible. My own best life is possible. I've proven that, okay, by looking at my own capability and what I could absolutely achieve. I got Raymond in the house, man. Raymond, you don't have to do that, man, with the super chats. That's kind of cool, man. It's the only way I get paid on YouTube now, anyway. I get paid for the other stuff, man, and I appreciate the latitude. I really do. But that's why I'm so hell bent on coming on and doing the live stream on Friday. You guys get the unabated, okay, uncensored, fairly unscripted. I mean, this is the script for tonight, you know, few cliff notes. He says, Ryan, thanks for getting me to start investing three years ago, right? Uh, I will never, we forget your brother. Shout out for the Black community. Fantastic. I appreciate that. I really do. I was just having a conversation this week, man. Me personally, and I'll give you something from me. This is the good stuff. If you're in the live stream and you're one of the patrons, just a little over 30 minutes, um, this is me. And you may take to this and you may not. I don't enjoy referring to people by the color of their skin. I don't. I don't. I've met so many good people. I work with colleagues of many, many different ethnic backgrounds, a lot of different beliefs, a lot of things that make them, yes, unique as individuals. I believe in the individual nature of people. I do not believe in classing people, especially something as shallow as a color. Um, that's just me. It give you just a little bit of belief. I don't know if the Black community out there would appreciate that or acknowledgement. The people of color, I guess that I know, feel the same as me, and they feel as the same as me from the capacity that I would look a little strange at somebody if they referred to me right off the bat as doing something because I'm a white person. And I know society deems this, and society is the one that defines these buckets. And to the extent where I don't think anybody ever says anything, and are very sensitive to this, I don't understand it. And perhaps maybe it's my deficiency. Maybe somehow it is okay. I don't like to do it. I don't do it. I let people who mean no harm do that. I just think that there's so much more of a deeper understanding of understanding where people come from, how their upbringing influences how they interact with people, how they look at their own personal capabilities and leverage those capabilities to do great things, you know. Um, and that's my 2 cents on it, just to give you some insight, man. I thought I'd give you $4.99 of my monologue about that, but you can know that's where I stand. If it just so happens to be somebody that makes their way to the channel that can find some success in that, and they will. The very reality example that I gave of understanding the importance of, that's just line item number one. We're going to go through a few more. You can succeed in it, irrespective of what societies deems you as far as being the Black people over here, or the red people over here, or the yellow people over here, or the polka dot people like me, right? See, I'm the polka dot people, you know what I'm saying? And I like being a freak. It's awesome. I love being a freak. The more I can define myself as individual, and less buy into, hey, I'm a retail investor, or I'm a middle class person, or I'm somebody who joined the rat race, or I'm somebody who joined military service and somehow that's a cop out, right? I was a person who dropped out of college, so therefore I'm supposed to think that somehow I'm with a class of people, right, that somehow you're, none of that's true, my friend. None of it. None of it. The very potential that you're going to realize in this life is going to have everything to do with you sitting down with yourself, looking in the effing mirror and saying, I'm going to do this no matter what. And a lot of successful people, man, they do that out of sometimes the deepest of hardships, the deepest of influences at a young age. Listen to Tony Robbins. He's one of my favorite people. This guy wasn't born into sunshine and roses, right? He was born into a very, very abusive and very, very dark upbringing. And so, you know, his ability to share his insights with people come from a very, very dark place. But I appreciate you, brother. You're always welcome in the channel, and you know, tell your friends, man, make their way in, because this message, man, it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't, and neither do I. Very good stuff. The next thing that I'll earmark for people that is working is continuing to fund markets. We call this DCA. This is dollar cost averaging, where you continue to fund markets over the long term. This is huge, okay? And I'm gonna, when I get to the what's not working, you guys are gonna understand, holy moly, man, not only did Ryan take me from the 1% to the 100% per spectrum, there's not 150% mathematically of anything tangible, okay? You gotta play with me, all right? 1% to 100, that's all you get, okay? And if you're gonna take 100% of your God-given ability to invest X number of dollars, and you're going to invest zero, well, then that's your personal choice. But at least acknowledging that your current reality is zero, okay? And in some cases, you're actually on the wrong side of zero. You're in the negative integer for those that carry unacceptable debt, okay? And it's all right. I'm not here to judge you, okay? I'm not trying to be rude. If you have debt, that's your reality, okay? Stop being a pussy. Step up to the plate and say, I have some effing debt, right? Then you'll be adhering to focusing in on that core reality that I talk about, instead of this whole like, I got to have everything in the universe, man. I got to go through my day and I got to buy something. Holy moly. I got to order a new credit card because this one got so hot that it melted, right? That's the American way, right? How much can we spend? How much debt can we get into? Like, this is incredible. It just won't shut me down, man. This is awesome. I know that I owe $8,700 on my credit card, or I owe $29,612 on my credit card, but it just keeps letting me spend. This is incredible, man. God bless America. Dollar cost averaging. Then so cost. Cost savings. That's the next one. So not spending like an idiot, and having some level of debt control now with the market where it is and always has been very, very prudent for any independent investor, okay? If you're going to come to the channel, and I've said this before, and use my philosophies, you're going to invest passively, and you're going to see dollars that you didn't have to work for outside of just the decision to invest, okay? 1%. I made 12 cents, Ryan. God damn, you're all right, Ryan. You're pretty cool, man. You know, I take back all that crap I was saying about the malarkey and the gambling and all that stuff. You're not too bad. 12 cents, I'll take it, right? That was money you didn't have to earn, okay? It is easy. Money that's made in the stock market is a luxury, okay? It's not your right, all right? You have the right to lose money too in the stock market. That's the game. But if you just so happen to engage, and you engage long enough, you're going to compile some wealth in this game by just passively investing and doing some of the things. But the other side of the spectrum is, you can't spend like a retard and then expect to come in every Friday and be like, yeah, Ryan, I don't know, you know, I invested $275 this week, but I spent 3,000. You can't do that, okay? You have to try to, I don't know, put a little discipline out there. You don't need all the crap that you buy. You don't need it. All right. Go camping, sit in a hot tent with hot rocks until you figure it out, and stare at the ceiling of the tent until you have an epiphany and understand that that stuff only makes you happy for a few seconds. And then you're back to the reality. There you are. God dang, you won't get lost in the reality. The reality. This is your reality. All right. This is where you need to live. All right. All right. Patience and perspective. That's another thing that is hard to teach people. They get involved with investing. They want that overnight success. Sometimes, as a matter of fact, more often than not, the reality of the stock market is such that you have to link together multiple years to get the maximum payout from investing, right? And a lot of people apply this whole like 6 month methodology. A lot of people do it to me and they do it with one video. They look at one video and they're like, oh my God, Ryan just came out with a Plurilock video this week and it's down 2 cents. This is terrible. Ryan's terrible. Ryan sucks. Ryan's the worst. And this is supposed to help my reality, right? If I can just come on and just in an isolated sense bag on Ryan for a little bit for coming out with a 10-minute video during an isolated amount of time, and because the stock digresses X number of micro pennies, right? Somehow Ryan's a bad guy. My point is, the stock market in general takes multiple years and decades. And if we're going to just meet this epiphany together, understanding that the maximum profits in the stock market are going to be made after a lifetime of investing, okay? Not 6 months. I don't know. I'll try this 1% here, and I'm going to try it for 12 days. And if it doesn't work out, Ryan, I'm unsubscribing from your channel and I'm going to go tune into Graham. Graham Stefan's going to show me to the promised land. Graham's a good guy. Okay. I have no doubt. I have no doubt until I meet him, right? I'm going to give them the presumption and the benefit of the doubt that they're good people. Okay. But stop with the crap, please. All right. The person that is most capable of showing you to the promised land is yourself. I can show you where the trough is. All right. I can pour sugar on the grain in the trough. Okay. I cannot make you eat it. All right. You're going to have to do that yourself. Multiple buckets, multiple accounts with multiple strategies, dividend growth strategy, the passive strategy. Yes. I have taken X number of percentages and put them towards speculative investing, an element of in the what's not working category right now. That's the reality. Speculation is not working. But if you choose to take 100% of your bucket and give it away to speculation, and then all of a sudden I'm the bad guy because you missed the reality, you adhered to the perception, but you missed the reality. You missed the reality in my portfolio. It is the number or the percentages that I have awarded to those to make sense for me, not you. Okay? And people come in and they see it in a vacuum, you know. Yeah, Aduro Clean Technologies, it's a fantastic opportunity. Has it worked for the last year? Yes, percentages have worked. Has it worked the last 6 months? No, it's digressed off its highs. It's consolidating here. That's just what's happening. Why? Because the perception is that I'm going to invest in Aduro and it's going to make me rich overnight. Sound familiar? Okay. And when it doesn't, I'm pissed off. I'm asking why that is. Or, my goodness, I've been investing in the stock for all of 26 months. And that's somehow supposed to reflect an amount of time that guarantees me success? Come on. Am I the only one that gets this? Come on. It's the very percentage that I have awarded to the portfolio toward a speculative aspect, while these other aspects are kicking ass, right? But the percentage that I have awarded for my own personal tolerance, and I've got a little bit more skin in the game as far as experience. Okay. I'm not talking money. I'm talking comparatively speaking to somebody who's just looking to do the 1% market, right? It's to do the one. I've got a hell of a lot more tolerance than that person. Could you get there or exceed me in due time? Yeah, you could, of course. Okay. Of course you could. All right. Saving the cash. Another element that's working right now, and then we'll get on to the what's not working. Okay. Kind of segued into that, but the things that I've already mentioned, saving to cash right now is something that I've been aggressively doing. I think I'm saving right now a little over $1,000 just to savings per month. For a small fry like me, that's just what I do. That's my reality. Ryan, you suck. I can do $10,000 a day. Fantastic. That's your reality, Leo. Make it happen. Fantastic. I'm not going to get into a tit for tat with an audience that I don't know personally. I have no idea. All right. I'm just sharing what I do. And my reality is $1,000 just to cash. Now I invest $3,000 a month. Okay. Not bad for a small fry. Not bad. Right on. Leo's giving me fist bumps and whatever. Man, you're not bad, Ryan. You're kind of cool. Right on, man. This is great. You're not just a small lemming. You're not with the mud people. This is you could be a celebrity yourself, Ryan. You got all kinds of cool ideas. You got your shit together, Ryan. That's amazing, right? All right. What's not working right now, unfortunately, and it hasn't worked for multiple years, is speculation. The very idea that we are looking at names, yes, that I put through on the channel, I'm doing business with three, and it will remain at three. It's not going to go to five, it's not going to go to 10. The reality is that I'm working with three companies, and I like them all. Do I like them all because they're crushing it on the top line? No, none of them are. Actually, Plurilock's crushing it on the top line. Okay, they're crushing it. And one person had the audacity to say, Ryan, what's the deal, man? They've been winning government contracts for years, but the stock continues to go down. I don't have any control over that. Okay. But if you're going to determine your investing thesis based on the past and not continue to look at the perspective of either one of two things are going to happen, either it's going to continue to go down to oblivion and it's going to dissolve away and not exist anymore, or at some point, maybe it turns the corner, maybe it goes up. Maybe there's certain people out there who identify with the value that's there. The stock's off 85% last I checked, right? Could it go completely to 100%? Sure, sure. I'm not naive to that reality. But I'm more interested in identifying with what potential value is there. And I'm not the only one, okay? There are networks of people that look at this stuff and they're like, there might be something here. We need to pay attention and monitor that progress. What is the guarantee that Plurilock's critical services are going to improve? Well, I don't know. Look at the 2023 financials. Company's been around for 3 years. They have whipped ass every single year on improving on their critical services businesses. That's where the margin expansion came from. If you look at the financials, any third grader could look at the financials and say, things are improving. I don't know if they're not going to be able to win one single contract in critical services going forward. That is the perception. But my reality is such that they're improving on that element of their business, and I believe that they'll continue to do that. Okay. Furthermore, it doesn't mean that you have to sell the farm and invest everything in a company that I put into the speculative category that I share on the channel, right? I can use it as a lesson point that can just absolutely drum my point down. The bulk of my wealth is doing what it is that the bulk of my wealth is doing every single day. And I don't sit there and manifest over it. I don't sit there and be like, gosh, I wish that passive mountain of money that I have, $500,000 in passive assets, was 9 million. God, what do I do to make that money 10 million? Right? What do I do to take my current reality and turn it into this perception that I have? Right? Kind of futile. If I look back just 5 short years, and for you guys that have been investing for your whole life, look back 5 years, tell me where you are. Tell me if you're in a better place now than you were then. Okay. That's the step back of understanding that over the course of a 5 year cycle, holy moly, you can look back. And even though Nike had a bad week this week, look over at historical gains of Nike over the last 5 years. Yeah, you straight whip that ass. You whip that ass. I, I don't know what to tell you. Right on. Nike's a buy right here. But yeah, man, it's not, they're cutting, slashing this. And Nike's the bomb, dude. Nike's the freaking bomb. That's my claim to fame, baby, Oregon. Huh? Beaverton, right? All my compadres out in the green state. Okay. What's not working? Speculation's not working. Do I believe that it will inevitably continue to not work? It is my assessment that at some point over the next couple of years, this element of investing could prove to be an extremely lucrative area. And the premonition that I have is such that it has been bad. The reality is that it has been bad, but I don't believe that it will continue to persist inevitably. That's my thesis. Okay. Do I think Aduro needs to knock down multi-million-dollar contracts tomorrow? No. Do I think they will? No. Do I expect some level of progress toward that end in 2024? Yes. And if I get that, that will be my new reality as opposed to what I expect from the company through my perspective and perception, okay, of what's to be expected. Once those things take hold and they become a reality, then we start looking at those next milestones. That's why we project those things for you guys, all right? Picking the top is another misconception that's not working right now. Emotion and panicking, chasing, following the crowd, and false perception. I've been talking about that all night, ranting and raving on, but hopefully you got the idea of what when I look at the actual sheer numbers of things and understanding what has evolved since I started investing and what have been some of the common themes that have really been tried and true and have really kind of paid me back. These are the things that I do religiously. I apologize for the term, but these are things that I do very consistently to make sure that I'm continuing to fund the program, and it allows me to have some ownership. It allows me to be independent like I am. I don't send a check to a broker or a money manager every month. I don't give them a percentage. No, I don't pay mine either, right? Yes, you do. Okay. Stop. Identify the reality, okay, and stop living in perception, i.e., the dream world, which I think a lot of people, they operate day to day with their head in the clouds, man. Pull it out, wake up, all right, and join the party of us liberated people, man, that see things for what it is. And it all starts with not what society can do for me, but rather what I can do for myself. That is it. That is the empowering piece to the message. Finances becomes way easier when I'm operating on a pretense and speaking to people who understand that very element. Okay. They're opening to listening, just like I am. They're open to changing, just like I am. They're adaptable, flexible. They live in the reality. Okay. I don't compare. There's people with a lot more net worth than me in this, but I'm just the guy to facilitate this project. Okay. I bring people together. I motivate, I coach, right? The value in what I do is far more significant than the net worth that I can sport with a $612,000 portfolio. If I came on and just said, "Look at me, you should respect me because of this," yeah, how much respect do you think I would get? Yeah, zero, because people like that should earn zero respect. But like I said at the top of the stream, man, that seems to be a governing attribute for people that they want to award to success, man. Where's the Lambo? Where's the car? Where's this person with this perception that I can somehow by osmosis aspire to, right? If I can just fall out of my Ferrari the same way, my life will be fulfilled and I can move away from this shitty reality into this phenomenal perception of where I see myself in reality, right? Huh? You got to start with the core first, man. If you're in a rut, tell yourself you're in a rut. If you're in debt, tell yourself you're in debt. If you want to invest in the stock market and you want to start a program, then tell yourself that for the first time you're going to get off your ass and start something to next week, next month, whatever. If you have no savings, tell yourself that you're going to start saving. Okay. If you hate your job, find another one. If you don't have a job, get a job. If you don't have insurance, get insurance. If you don't exercise, exercise. Okay. If you want to get devoted or addicted to anything in this life, get addicted to those things. All right. Put the cigarettes down, go get addicted to the gym. Okay. It will absolutely open your mind, and you'll look back on that, which was reality, and you cannot believe that you succumbed to that level of reality at that time, man. You can't. And in the recent past, I look back over my reality and it is overshadowed in a lot of capacities, man. And I'm starting to put together a very, very happy and fulfilled life of living in my reality. Okay. And understanding how to improve upon that reality, and understanding that any perceived idea that I have about speculating and what that could potentially mean for my future is all going to be predicated on a very, very strong foundation of reality. All right. Good stuff, guys. Let's get to some comments. Very cool stuff. Ryan, why are Aduro's daily trade candles lines all straight lines and incompletes low vol? It is low volume, and I don't understand it. The gents who cover it, they talk about the Canadian exchange much more scathing than I would talk about the quality board markets here in the OTC. But Dave, I shared a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know if you heard me talk about the disparity. I own Aduro across multiple brokers, and I kid you not, I don't think there's any way of determining what this stock is worth in a microsecond. In other words, I will see different values of the stock, whether or not it's up in a brokerage account, it's up in different capacities, not to reflect the same. For example, Interactive Brokers compared to Fidelity, for example. Thanks for the recommendation, by the way. I should send you a finder's fee out to Hawaii. So I owe you, man. That's was a great move. I owe you for that. That's awesome, man. But anyway, when we're talking about that, I think there's enough disparity between them based on the exchange that it is involved with right now. And I think that the daily trading volume would speak to a company that, quite frankly, is undiscovered at this point. I just don't think there's a lot of people that know about this name. If there was, I don't think we would be getting excited about two, you know, collaborators that are going to be brought on in an entire year. There should be people breaking down the door to this, and it's somewhat not concerning, but something that I acknowledge that I get, of course, bombarded on the channel to suggest, Ryan, if the technology is so awesome, why don't they have more people interested in the technology? Well, I'm not going to speculate to suggest that they don't. Okay. But right now, we are not provided a whole lot of transparency on 20 dossiers of 20 companies and 6 multi-billion-dollar companies. That's it. Um, there's a few people who know who the companies are. I'm not one of them. I have my speculations as well. But as far as the people who are in the know, first of all, this company needs to get to 100 million in market cap. Okay. There's a lot of institutions that I believe would be interested in this company, but I think Aduro has to do some things organically to get a little bit more churn in the awareness, number one. Number two, I think they need to uplist to a better exchange. Okay. And I think before they do both of those things, which are kind of symbiotic in my mind, right? They can't get the uplisting unless they're bringing in some top end revenue that's somewhat in line with their business model. If they're licensing a few things, and this may take a couple of years, if they've got a couple of licensing contracts where they're bringing in some, forecastable revenue on the top line, 10, 15, 20, 25 million to start, which I think is very, very doable, but there are leaps and bounds away from that now. The perception and the expectation is absolutely there. Okay. The execution has to be there, and the reality has to be the follow through. You see what I mean? But I think they'll do it. But I do notice the exact same thing. It's interesting. Um, but what can I say? I mean, I'm invested in the company. I do monitor the stock action, but I tell you what, the focus right now for me is on my dollars for less than $1 US for every dollar that I have invested in this company is invested in what I think is technology that is it's the best out there. And even if there are multiple technologies out there that can be deployed toward the plastic problem, I think Aduro is going to find their niche. I really do. I think they're going to find a place in this industry, and I think it's going to be sizable, and I think it's going to be I think it's going to be impressive. I do. How that's going to transpire, whew, it's anybody's guess, but I'm going to be in it for the long haul because I think the upward potential here, when I'm looking at a 10% or a 10-cent drift in the stock over the last, let's say, 6 months or so, I, in reality, what are we talking about? We're talking about a company that is unknown, that's trading at around 65 million market cap, that has to get some internal churn. They've just raised the capital to at least make some really good leaps and bounds toward R3. Ofer Vikas talked about the ability to potentially finish R3, which I think is going to be huge. Just calling it the next generation reactor, which I saw R2 in person, and it's met its intent for customer engagement. But we'll just have to see what is in store in the future. I'm looking for a breakthrough in the game changer program. It's not in Shell's best interest to rush this program along. It's in their best interest to drive the stock down to 20 cents and then do a hostile takeover at $500 million. It's business. They're not in any interest at all to facilitate and give a positive endorsement or a positive progress report. And Aduro's kind of lockjawed a little bit to even talk about it, which I think is kind of a detriment to share owners. But in respect to that relationship that they have with Shell, they respect that, and they're abiding by the terms of their non-disclosure. So, that could crack any time. Who knows? A revelation of a company that wants to do business with Aduro, which I think is an inevitable milestone that's going to happen. And when that does happen, I think we could have some real movement in the stock. So we'll see what happens. But thanks for stopping in, Dave. I really appreciate it. I do observe the same things. I'm not really that concerned, or I just acknowledge that it is what it is, and I'm excited to have X number of percentage toward this speculative element of the portfolio. Why? Because piling in to an over exuberant percentage in passive investing right now doesn't really it's not it doesn't it's a non-starter for me, right? Engaging in these companies that I look at and I see real value in, I have to do it. I have to, and I think there's real value there. Very cool stuff. Becky's in the house, Ryan. You've literally helped so many. You've given people confidence. Sure. Confidence to start, and then once that confidence to start, then that initial spark should dissolve away a little bit, in that people get a little bit more comfortable with what their ability is, even if it's just adhering to the passive strategy inevitably. And that is the funny thing about it, is we talk about on an individual basis from 0 to 100%, but the reality is 100% of people that I speak with in the grander audience, right, could just use this one perspective in its entirety to find success on the stock market. It's a beautiful thing, right? And so once you get that validation, what I like to do is to provide that initial spark for people, and then once they've got it, they've got it. So head up to the top here. Got a few people in the group. Got Jared in the house. Great to see you, man. Jared's been with the channel many years, man. We're going on the first decade together. What do you think on CELH? I'd have to look in it myself, man. I do apologize. Winjet. Oh, no, man. Sunday night, going on vacation. We'll be off the grid. It's a good time to mention. We'll be off the grid in the Independent Investor channel for the next probably, at least 3 weeks. Okay. I'm heading abroad on a vacation. So please don't tune in waiting for me at 9 o'clock, because I won't be here. I'll be taking some much needed break. good here. If they sell a product in Costco, you're in good shape. Right on, man. That's great. I'll have to look at that. Thank you. And got back into Nike today on the dip. Good idea. It's a bellwether. I like it. Nike's probably a good long-term play. You betcha. And Becky's in the house. Great to see you, Becky. Fantastic. I buy, it drops 20%, then wait, nothing. When I sell, it goes up 150%. I think the suits are watching my trades. Oh boy, I've had that same thought myself. I, yeah, I don't know, man. That's a pretty interesting comment, man. Got my attention with this. I'm not going to disagree with you, man. All the imperfections of the stock market, right? Like, and that's the thing is you buy passive markets in its entirety, the good and the bad. Over time, the good typically out ekes the bad, you know. But when you buy individual stocks, it's like all of everything out there is reading every day piece of data point that is put toward there is a stock buy and sell, not a very, very critical buy point, especially in aggregate, right? When they have X number of buys, X number of sells, or a certain stock is moving with momentum, et cetera, markets up, stock market in general's down. How do those correlate, right? AI is amazing now in that the data that can be drawn off of people's tendency is scary. I hope you're wrong. I can't disagree with you. It's a pretty cool comment. I appreciate you leaving it in the live stream, man. Thank you. Good stuff, man. Shit, I hope you're wrong, brother. Very cool, man. Finally caught alive, man. I appreciate you, and thanks for leaving the comment and the super chat, man. That's cool. I haven't had one of those for a while. I really appreciate it. Guys, we're about 6 minutes past the mark here. I bought 25 shares today in Nvidia. I think Nvidia is fine. Just remember the percentage when you're talking about single stock. It's a whole different game. I don't want to patronize you, but Nvidia is a phenomenal company. Okay. But if you don't do anything in way of passive investing, if you don't have any debt, if you don't have any, savings, if you don't have a good base in your portfolio, then why would you justify buying Nvidia at these highs? Now, if you're sitting on a mountain of wealth, and you're sitting on and you want to take a strategic shot at one of the top 10 stocks in the S&P 500 that's been on an absolute tear, and I don't think it's done. I think it's in the early innings. I think if you're willing to hold the stock long, and I'm talking ultra long, like just buy it now and keep it for the rest of your life, I think it could be great. That's my intention with the stock. For the last few months, have been trading the hell out of it and channeling the hell out of it, and I've skimmed a lot of money off of Nvidia. But I just picked up 25 more shares just to give you an idea of where my loyalty lies, and that's a token position, my friend. I mean, it's a cherry on top of a much larger base of portfolio of passive assets that in part own Nvidia as well, right? So if Nvidia decides to tail off, then it's a double factor to the south. But I think Nvidia is a great company, and I think it's worth holding in either an indirect capacity through the indexes or owning in a direct capacity. I can't deny the power of the company and the movement in AI, and that's a great place to kind of end here, guys. I appreciate you tuning in, man, for the fastest 60 minutes. I really do. Taking a couple weeks off. Look for the notification. When I do get back, we'll throw back down on the project as we head into the fall time. I wish you all the best in your investing career, that's for sure. We'll be back in about 3 weeks. I wish you all the best, and thanks for tuning in this evening, my man. Take care, and we will see you guys when I get back from vacation. Cheers.